This was supposed to be a boring work trip, and it became the worst day of her life. If Talia Winton had known how the day would end, she would have done 3 things differently. She would have called in sick. She would have stayed in bed. And she definitely would not have agreed to sit in a car for 8 hours with her boss. She didn't know it yet, but in just a few minutes, she would hate him for a very different reason. The SUV rolled down the empty highway, surrounded by tall trees and endless bushland, the kind of quiet that felt peaceful until you stayed in it too long. Talia sat in the passenger seat, laptop balanced on her knees, pretending not to notice the man driving beside her. Lachlan Ashford didn't just drive a car. He commanded it, hands steady on the wheel, eyes forward, back straight. He looked like a man who could give a performance review to Gravity and make it apologize. This story does not start with romance. It starts with regret. Is the report I asked for ready? Lachlan asked, his voice calm and cold. Talia didn't look up. I'm finishing it. I didn't ask if you were finishing it. She smiled tightly. Then yes, it's ready. Emotionally. Silence fell. She had survived working for him for 2 years. Meetings, emails, deadlines that felt like traps. She thought she knew what dealing with Lachlan Ashford meant. She was wrong. The road looked normal. That's what made it dangerous. The sky darkened without warning. Wind swept across the road, shaking branches overhead. The tires hummed, then slipped. 1 second later, the car did something it was never supposed to do. A kangaroo burst out of the trees. Lachlan swerved. The SUV skidded. And suddenly, work deadlines didn't matter anymore. Talia's laptop crashed to the floor. Her seatbelt bit into her chest. The world spun sideways as the car slid off the road and slammed into the bush with a violent crunch. This wasn't the kind of crash you see in movies. There was no slow motion, just noise and then silence. When the car stopped moving, Talia couldn't breathe. Her heart hammered. Her ears rang. She turned her head slowly. Lachlan was still gripping the steering wheel. His knuckles were white, his jaw locked tight. They were alive. But surviving the crash was only the beginning. No signal, no passing cars, no help coming. The only other person alive was the man she hated most. Talia climbed out of the SUV on shaking legs. The bush surrounded them on all sides, dense, quiet, and unfamiliar. Her phone blinked once, then went dark. She swallowed. We're not just waiting here, right? Lachlan checked the engine. Smoke hissed softly. No, he said. We can't. She expected panic. He didn't panic. That's when she realized. She didn't actually know him, and that scared her more than the crash. They gathered supplies from the car. A water bottle, an emergency kit, a lighter, 2 protein bars that looked sad and tasted worse. Lachlan moved with purpose. No wasted motion. No complaining. You camp? She asked, surprised. I grew up out here, he replied. She blinked. You? I thought you grew up in a boardroom. He glanced at her. Not originally. They started walking, following what they thought was a road's direction. The forest was quiet in a way that didn't feel safe. Every step made Talia wonder if they were going the wrong way. Then she noticed the smell. At first, she thought it was dust. Then the wind changed, and she realized it wasn't dust at all. Smoke. Fire doesn't ask questions. It just moves. And it was moving toward them. They found a small creek by afternoon. Clear water. Cold. Real. Talia nearly cried. They drank carefully. Rested. Lachlan cleaned a cut on his shoulder while she held the antiseptic wipe with trembling fingers. Up close, he didn't look powerful. He looked tired. For the first time, she saw the man beneath the suit. That was the first time he gave her his jacket. She told herself it didn't mean anything. She was wrong. The night grew cold fast. The fire was small, fragile. Talia hugged herself, shivering. Lachlan noticed. Of course he did. He didn't say anything, just handed her the jacket. "No," she protested. "You'll freeze. I'm warmer than you are." It was a simple fact, not an order. Sharing warmth changes things. So does realizing someone is willing to freeze for you. Later, she wrapped the jacket around both of them, sitting close. You don't plan moments like that. They happen when fear strips everything else away. She hated Lachlan Ashford, or at least she thought she did, but heartless people don't do this. And that truth made her uncomfortable. By morning, the fire was no longer far away. You could hear it before you saw it. And once you saw it, there was no time left. The wildfire climbed uphill, fast and hungry. Running uphill was the worst possible option, but it was the only one they had. They ran. Smoke burned Talia's lungs. Ash fell like snow, and then she fell. Pain exploded through her knee. Lachlan didn't hesitate. He picked her up. That was the moment she knew he would not leave her behind, even if it killed him. They reached a rocky clearing just as the flames surged below. Smoke can destroy, or it can save. They built a signal fire, waved the tarp. Hope is terrifying when you're not sure it's real. The helicopter turned. Rescue lifted them away as the fire roared beneath them. She didn't cry when they lifted off. She cried when she realized it was actually over. But the story wasn't done yet. Surviving the wilderness was easy compared to this part, because now the world was watching. Cameras, reporters, questions. She expected him to protect his image. That's what he always did. Instead, he told the truth. "Isla saved my life," Lachlan said, "and I love her." Suddenly, she wasn't invisible anymore. Months later, he left the company, started something new, and 6 months after that, on a quiet mountain trail, he knelt. Sometimes you don't fall in love slowly. Sometimes you survive together, and love follows. And sometimes that's the safest place of all. If this story made you feel something, if it made you hold your breath, or smile, or believe, even for a moment, that people can surprise us in the best ways, then you're in the right place. Stories like this don't come from perfection. They come from courage, connection, and the moments that change us when we least expect it. And there are many more stories waiting for you here. Stories about survival, unexpected love, and the quiet strength we discover when life takes an unexpected turn. So if you haven't already, take a second to like this video. It helps more people find stories that matter. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next journey, the next transformation, or the next reminder that even in the hardest moments, hope can still find us. Thank you for watching. We're glad you're here.